Hi, and welcome to episode 4 of Workforce Dynamics Africa. I am Basma Hawari, and today we are going to look into a new topic, employee engagement. With us today, Marcela Uribe, General Manager of Southern Europe and Africa. You have been with ADP for over 20 years. What an impressive career! And with your extensive experience, you have had the opportunity to work with diverse teams and clients across the globe. Would you say that employee engagement is a topic that comes often?
Yeah, it's a really interesting topic, I think, because employee engagement has an impact on employers in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think one of the first things that we're seeing is a lot of attrition, or we have seen recently in the last couple of years is a lot of attrition because if an employee is engaged, they're absolutely more loyal, right? So they're going to stay put because they're happy with, engagement's another word sort of for happiness or satisfaction. If you're happy in your role and you're happy with the company that you're working at, you're more likely to stay. In addition to that, you're also more likely to be productive. So it's definitely an important topic for employers right now, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the data from ADP's recent global report called People at Work 2025, engagement levels in Africa are significantly higher than the other region. For example, the average level of engagement is 19%, and in South Africa, the engagement level is 31%.
I know.
The figure in South Africa has doubled in the last 6 years, rising from 18 to 31. Can you explain what this means for employees? Employers, in Africa.
It's incredible. So South Africa is completely bucking the trend. It's dramatic when you talk about the increase, and again, as I was saying before, right? So engagement is job satisfaction. So people are clearly really happy in their roles. They're staying longer in their roles or in their companies, and they're doing more, right?
Yeah.
So it's that. The engagement, when an employer has that with their workforce, it's fundamental.
Yeah, it's great. It's great that in South Africa engagement levels are on the rise. Yet in some African countries, they're still extremely low. What can be done to increase this employee engagement in underperforming countries?
So it might also be linked to the working conditions, right? So one of the things that they can first start to look at is how can you improve? Is there a question about pay? Is there fairness in pay, like sort of pay equity? Is that something that might be a topic? Certainly just the conditions themselves. The other thing might be enhancing additional opportunities. So I think sometimes an engagement or a lack thereof can be if I feel like, okay, I'm sort of maxed out in the role that I'm in. And so maybe then, you hear this phrase, quiet quitting, because you're just kind of doing what you need to do, but not doing too much. And maybe if employers offer new opportunities or employees see that there's that next level, that would be more engaging for them to think, okay, I am going to go that extra mile. I am going to do more because that way, my boss or my employer will see that I have the capacity to do more and to look for career development. So it's to find that pathway that also builds engagement.
Yeah. And working environments play a huge role in employee satisfaction. According to ADP's People at Work 25 survey, 34% of hybrid workers are fully engaged, compared to 25% of remote workers and 28% who work on site. It seems hybrid work are the happiest. Why do you think that is?
So I think there's a few things there, right? So one is the sense of maybe autonomy, being able to choose, okay, I'm going to work these 2 days at home, I'm going to work these 3 days in the office, I'm going to make I make that choice to decide when I go into the office and when I work from home. I think that is empowering, and so that makes people feel happier or better about what they're doing. The other thing that comes to mind is, and especially I think in Africa, which has such a young workforce, right? Which is amazing. So that is driven, I believe, that the young workforce wants to come into the office and learn from their older peers, right? So this is a fantastic experience for them. It gives them that ability to learn, and it's not that sort of formal training learning. This is, again, leading by example, following, or just even anecdotally, how you learn from peers that have maybe more experience than you do. And then lastly, and I think this was very important, and I think the data definitely holds up, is that people who feel part of a team are always more engaged. And certainly you can be part of a team remotely, but even if it's hybrid, so at least from time to time, and whatever that might be, right? It could be once a month, it could be once a week, it depends. But to be able to come together with that team and have that sharing and feeling that sense of team is going to make people more engaged.
Totally agree. And according to our stat, 31% of staff in South Africa say they have complete flexibility to work from the workplace or from home, while slightly more than 32% say they have to work from the workplace every day because the job requires it. So almost a third can work where they wish, as the same number have no choice but to work on site. So empowering workers to make decisions about where they do the jobs can really help increase their motivation. So what businesses can do to facilitate this?
So I think digitalization is key. And some jobs are always going to require you to be on site just by virtue of the work that you're doing. But a lot of jobs, and certainly in our industry a few years ago, pre-pandemic, we would have never thought that so much of what we do could have been done remotely. So we have learned a lot. So it's a little bit about applying these lessons in rolling out some sort of digitalization, some sort of automated plans that you can implement to give people that freedom to be able to work either remotely, entirely remotely, or some sort of hybrid model. Particularly, I think, in Africa, because the distances are so vast, that allowing people that ability to be remote from time to time is critical.
Yeah.
It would be a game changer for some.
That's true. Teamwork fosters a sense of shared purpose and community feeling. And I have seen in 3 African countries, Nigeria, Egypt, South Africa, are in the top 5 with proportion of employees who are on a team at work. So how can business make this teamwork a priority?
So it's a good question, right? Because I think, as we were saying, teamwork and the sense of team and belonging will certainly improve productivity because people will be that much more engaged. There's probably a few different things that people can do or that employers can do. Some sort of shared learning sometimes, again, that creates this more sense of team and community that should help, or that is one of the potential opportunities. Maybe different incentives or rewards around how you structure your teams. These are certainly opportunities as well, and I guess maybe it depends on how you communicate with your employees as well.
And we have seen also that women tend to be more engaged than men in the workplace. In both Nigeria and South Africa, 33% of women are fully engaged compared to 28% of men. Why is this, and what can be done to improve it?
So it's interesting because I don't want to fall into a stereotype and say women are more empathetic, but it's interesting when you read the statistics to say that women are more engaged. I don't know what that is. I think it's interesting to think about how that works. But if that's the case, creating diverse workforces is probably something that can be very helpful for employers, because if you have an engaged leader, then your team is by definition going to be, or certainly the data speaks to it, that will be more engaged. So I think the more you blend these teams and you bring in more engaged people, hopefully it's sort of contagious, let's say it like that.
And given your enormous experience with clients across the globe, what else do you think can be done to improve employee engagement?
I think training and upskilling, I think investment in your employees is massive. I think it's incredibly appreciated. So immediately people understand, hey, my employer is investing in me, investing in my future. And that's powerful, right? That's really powerful. And I think that drives engagement and loyalty. And even from there, it must be, I think it just has to be, maybe the statistics will say otherwise, but I think also more productivity. So these are things that might feel like smaller investments on behalf of the employer. So there's certainly something that's doable, right? Training, learnings, and upskilling, but that has a massive impact on the employees.
Do you think about something else?
Yes, I think the gender pay gap most certainly comes to mind. So there's this statistic from the World Economic Forum that says if everything remains as it is today, it's going to take 134 years for us to reach gender pay parity. So certainly employers can invest in this, and it's quite, I don't want to say it's quite simple because it's not simple, but it is a solution that is available.
Thank you so much, Marcela. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise, thank you.
My pleasure. In our next episode, we are going to talk on how digitization can transform work in Africa with the founder of Central Global, Zain Ali. Stay tuned.